Well, so happy Monday. Uh, so there was a couple things. Saw an amazing article. It's not all that wordy, but it's the New Yorker, and it's New York psychics. So it was. I fed it into the search terms psychic women, and so there's a photo gallery, some interesting faces. Anyway, so there's that. Wanted to talk a bit more about Zeitgeber, and if there was, if we wanted to quantify or something, then there would be a rare occurrence of Anglo-Saxon awareness, when really some of that awareness is quite ancient. So myself included, I don't know, sometimes I feel like, that's gross, Anyway, so awareness of nature and how we feel in nature. So, in some ways, attunement, I should mention this, attunement is a bit of a risk. If you're in touch with nature, and nature, to put it politely, nature is changing, it can be a bit odd. Also wanted to touch on matter and memory. And so there are passages in that book that reflect on knowledge, and I would suggest, as opposed to aluminum or there were other, I forget what they were, fly ash, and then of course, if you toss in a little vial of God knows what, it's all nanotechnology in a matter of seconds, and then you can pump that out of the. Anyway, who knows what they're into? I don't really know for sure, but I'll tell you. It's constitutional domain if it has an effect on human health. That's for sure, and it's widespread. You see, was talking before about artificial induction as a proximity to both Zeitgeber. Constitution as mathematical probability and interpolation or SAT data. I don't think people who want to say we don't know and then they're going to do something, I really don't think that it's, so there's no gray area really in a lot of ways. Matter and memory, and please tell me if there's no innate or essential retrieval of causation with respect to individuals who are either destructive or industrial mindset, perhaps, or are engaged in embodiment, you see. Would want to know, how do we put it back if there's a causal interruption, whether it be technological or matter and memory or any technique. Answer me how that nature becomes what it was. So there's bioremediation as a loose description of techniques involved in a matter and memory process or genetic memory. So it's interesting. One thing that interests me a lot, so I don't know, as far as the local community goes, there, I think, now, not to be totally stepping on toes here, but there's been common experience with blessing water in space. Similar to little old ladies getting together and holding hands in a circle, there's other sort of practices with attunement that lead us to awareness. And so, strange as it may sound, I haven't been able to locate a raindrop myself in quite some time, anywhere. So T is from China. I don't know, so we're surrounded by buckets and hoses and pipe and houses and all of these things, cisterns, none of which provide an essential attunement to viewing precipitation. So I don't know if it's a barrier or if it's, I don't know if it's a blockage or there's other more pressing concerns. So bear in mind that if we're blessing T, this doesn't, the experience as far as I'm concerned, does not entitle negative response. Negative cultural response because, it rains here, it rains there. Culture, now I don't know, so perhaps in the future, if there's design, we'll be able to manage thermoflow in terms of national boundaries. Difficulty, myriad reactions to incumbency that are conditional escape and extremely affront to mutual requirement. And interestingly, the Department of Justice in the U.S. has said there's no commitment to any constitutional normalcy in terms of carbon. The Children's Trust litigation, you see, very interesting. They can stand in front of future generations, and that's a very clear intersection with constitutional expectation. Very clear. Okay. We wonder what we can do, and if anybody wants to drop by my place with some fresh fruit, feel free.